If you're saving to buy a home, you may have to save a little more, a little longer just to meet those monthly payments. Our consumer editor, Yvonne Zanos, reports tonight that mortgage rates are going up nationwide, and Pittsburgh is now feeling the effects.
Yeah, Don, and many in the housing industry are surprised. Even after the holidays, real estate brokers, builders, and bankers were predicting a year of stable or slightly lower interest rates. But since January, those mortgage rates have been inching up, and we may not be at the ceiling yet. And the Pittsburgh market, known as one of the most stable housing markets in the country, is rocking just a bit from news that mortgage rates are on the rise. From a local average of 9.5%, soon to 10 and then some, says Mike Suley, president of the Greater Pittsburgh Board of Realtors.
Many lenders are predicting, and I guess I'll make the prediction that they could go up another 0.25% over the next 30 days.
And that's news that makes prospective home buyers skittish.
Makes a big difference. You're looking at it, and every time it would even go up a 1/4 point, it'd make you hurry up, let's look more, let's see what we want to do.
Hoping to lock in today because we're anticipating the interest rates to go up.
And for home buyers, that could be a costly move. The average home in the South Hills is selling for $83,600. The average housing loan is about $70,000 for 30 years. A 9.5% mortgage today means a monthly payment of $589. A 10% mortgage next week means a $614 monthly payment. That 0.5% means $25 more a month, or $9,000 over the life of the mortgage.
The buyer has to make a choice or a decision. Should the buyer purchase less of a home? And generally the buyer doesn't want to do that. So the buyer will generally offer less on the same home they've been looking at.
Traditionally, as soon as interest rates increase, property values stagnate, making Judy Sheets very grateful for the just posted sold sign in her front yard.
Sure it did. We were anxious to sell because we were in turn wanted to buy a new house, and we want the buyers to be able to buy it.
And builders are hoping they can continue to build. Every 1 percentage hike in mortgage rates means 200,000 to 300,000 fewer home sales nationwide. Builders in Pittsburgh are not expected to feel the crunch as much as those in other areas. They say as long as the interest rates don't go above 10, they think the market will remain stable. It's predicted to go higher than that, so you can bet all eyes on those interest rates.
For sure, Yvonne. Thank you. CBS 60 Minutes correspondent Andy Rooney may be back to work sooner than expected. Some news.
Now, Channel 11 News, Night Beat.
The superstar.
All right, Keith, thank you very much. Country to buy a home. That's the conclusion in a national survey to be released Monday. The study cites both affordability as well as the future increase in value that homes will realize. Another recent report said home prices here could increase over 80% by 1995. Don Dunwell says this is especially good news for first home buyers.
I think you need a little bit more room in the back.
MAUREEN BOCHTER, her son, and John NATH are struggling through the rigors of house hunting. They know what they want. Getting it in an affordable price range is what's tough.
So it is very exciting, but it is scary because you know how much money you're going to be paying out each month for this place that you're going to live in.
And that's the other part of the equation. John knows that a home will be more than a roof over their heads.
Rather than put the money into the bank, you're hoping that your house value will go up and such, so you get a return on your investment.
Pittsburgh is one of the best places in the country for home buyers right now. A survey to be published in Monday's U.S. News and World Report touts the area as the 11th hottest housing market in the country. Prices on existing homes here increased in value almost 16% in the past year. The median price rose from $62,400 in the first quarter of last year to $72,170 this year. At the same time, Pittsburgh ranks very high for housing affordability. The average buyer here needs just 13% of household income to meet monthly payments. In Honolulu, it takes 40% of household income. The president of the Greater Pittsburgh Board of Realtors says affordability is a huge attraction to people moving here.
We get people coming in from areas all over the country that are transferred to Pittsburgh, and they tell us they can't believe what they could get for $100,000 in Pittsburgh.
Now, there is a downside to this upbeat story about the Pittsburgh housing market. If housing values do increase as projected, Pittsburgh could easily lose its title as one of this country's most housing affordable cities. And I guess that's just another example of too much of a good thing. In Brookline, I'm Don Dunwell, Channel 11 News.
Pittsburgh Pittsburgh is the 11th hottest housing market. West Palm Beach, Florida, the first. Who's the coolest? Youngstown, Ohio, one of the hardest places to sell a house these days.
Looking for a new house, this appears to be the right time to buy, especially right here in Pittsburgh. One segment of the market is red hot. There's a lot of buyer interest, and as Lauren Mann tells us tonight, the mortgage companies are getting interested too.
Ann Ports and her physician husband moved from Washington County to Bethel Park just 2 months ago. With her husband opening a new practice, finding the right house at the right price was a priority.
We were looking for a house with enough bedrooms, nothing fancy really, just a backyard for the little one to play in, good school district. And I think we're a nice neighborhood.
The Portses are among the hottest group of home buyers in the Pittsburgh area right now. Young couples spending between $70,000 and $100,000 for starter or second homes. Michael Suley, head of the Greater Pittsburgh Board of Realtors, says people transferring to Pittsburgh are keeping the market hot.
You see someone moving from San Francisco, for example, maybe selling their home for $280,000, and for $100,000 they're getting the same home they just left. So it's a bargain for many of the people coming from other areas.
Another factor contributing to Pittsburgh's rating as one of the most affordable housing markets in the country. Most realtors say it's a buyer's market right now because fixed mortgage interest rates are averaging 10%. There is a word of caution. This booming real estate market in the Pittsburgh area could change at any time. Given the turbulence in the Middle East, mortgage bankers could face a money crunch at a moment's notice. Lauren Mann, Channel 11 News, Bethel Park.
With the Greater Pittsburgh Board of Realtors. And Mike, what does all this mean? Now, we were ranked 15th out of a list of all the major cities in the country. Can you explain it to us?
Yeah, it's terrific news because this is the type of study where you want to come in last. You don't want overpriced housing. And by coming in last, in this case, we're in good shape.
Our median cost here is what?
$71,500.
Compared to?
In San Francisco, it was more than double that.
So you're definitely going to get more house for your money living here in the Pittsburgh area.
Absolutely. It's good news. People have been calling us all day, and people do react to good news.
Okay. Joanne, have you noticed a different profile in home buyers now compared to a few years back?
Yes, I have, Asa. Most of my home buyers today are in the early 30s, even some in the 20s that used to just want to rent and not worry about home buying. They are very interested in buying homes today. Mm-hmm. And most of their price ranges are $100,000 to $125,000.
Okay. And speaking of price ranges, median at $70,000, you can pick up a very good value on a home here. What are some other reasons to invest in real estate now?
Well, naturally, with the drop in the rates, I'm sure that housing in Pittsburgh will go up.
Interest rates would
Yeah,
drop.
the interest rates have dropped dramatically in the last 2 weeks. So we've had good news twice in the last 2 weeks.
Okay. Joanne, do you think it will make it easier to attract people here from out of town?
Oh, I think it'll make it real easy to attract people because our job as realtors is to sell the city of Pittsburgh to the transferees that come in, and this will make it a lot easier for us.
Okay, someone mentioned if there is a downside to any of this, it might be for transient folks who come in, we'll say, and stay 3 or 4 years. They're not going to get the high resale value that they might get in another area of the country. Can you address that, Mike?
Yes, if they sell their home in a few years, that's right. They're going to sell it for lower than they would. But again, when they sell their house, they're relocating to these other major metropolitan areas, and they're going to pay a lot more for the same house.
Okay, so it's all relative anyway. I mean, if you're going to pay a lower price, you're going to sell a lower price, right? Thank you both for joining us here today, and this is really good news for all of us. So if you've been thinking about buying a home, this is definitely the time to do it. Back to you.
And it's also better to live in Pittsburgh area. Still ahead, a bus driver whose heart is in his work.